Good evening and welcome. My name is Michele and I'd like to welcome you here to my craft room. Um, Please jump on and say hello. Excuse me. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up, and I'm here in New South Wales, Australia. Oh gee, I'm looking at myself and I'm a bit of a mess today, haven't I? Haven't even managed to put a brush through my hair since this morning. Oh well, that's how I roll. So jump on, say hello. Let me know where you're from if you've never been on here before. Um, there's quite a few lovely ladies that all jump on, and we all love to chat. So just like you to enjoy the evening. And if you have any questions, please ask. And what we're going to do today is we're going to play with a product that's in our mini catalogue. So I'll just put this up so you can actually see. Won't be one sec. Let me see where it is. Okay, we have our mini catalogue and our celebration. Our celebration catalogue ends at the end of this month. And with the celebration catalogue, if you spend $90 from either the mini catalogue or our annual catalogue, you can get a product for free. If you spend $180, you can get a larger product for free, and they're all in the catalogue. I'm not explaining myself too well. We've got our annual catalogue, we've got our mini catalogue, we've got a celebration. It's a once in a year sale. So every time you spend $90 and up, you get something for free from the celebration catalogue. Now it finishes the end of this month in February. Our joining is also in the back of our celebration catalogue. So till the end of February, we have option. You can join now, and it's $169 here in Australia, and you've got the choice of either option 1 or option 2. So option 1 gives you the glass matte studio, which is retailed at $106. If you choose option 2, then you can choose an extra $51 worth of product out of that, on top of that $169. So really great value. You don't have to be a demonstrator. You don't have to do lives. You don't have to do parties. All you have to do is the quarterly minimum. So if you need more information, please jump on board and let me know. Okay, let's get back to this. And I can see there's a couple of people jumping on already. Hello, Leslie. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm not quite sure who the Facebook user is. So if you can pop your name up there, that would be fantastic. For some reason, it's not showing on my page here. Okay, I'm going to flip this camera over before I get myself all tongue-twisted and tongue-tied and show you what we're going to be doing tonight. So bear with me one sec. And hopefully tonight we won't have any issues with our internet connection or my camera. So what I'm doing is I'm masking off. I've got a piece of basic white here, which I've cut down to 9.7 by 14.1. Hi, Glenda. I'm glad you're on. And what I'm doing is I'm just masking this off with some post-it note type paper that I picked up from Kmart here in Australia. And I'm putting this on my grid paper, and I'm using the squares on my grid as my guide. So at the bottom, I'm popping this on at, I think it's 6 squares up, which each one of those squares is half a centimeter. So that's 1, 2, almost 3 centimeters. So I'm having a little bit more at my bottom, and at the top, I've put it on at about 5 squares, I think. I've just got a little bit of post-it note tape underneath just to hold all this still. So I think that I've got this on 1, 2, 3, 4 and a bit, really. Okay, so that's about 2 centimeters off the top. And I'm going to mask the sides because we're going to do a bit of blending. And the colors I've chosen to blend are Lost Lagoon and Fresh Freesia. So probably should have put these ones on first, but anyway, I'm going to use these lines on my paper here as my guide. of where I'm going to place this. That's roughly where I want it to go. So usually I would put about the same as what I've put at the top on my sides, and just have that little bit more at the bottom, just so then I've got a bit of room there, because I'm just going to do this as a, at the moment I'm thinking of doing it as like a one level, so card, or maybe actually two, because I'm going to put a mat behind it. So it's not going to have a lot of layers. This is only going to have a couple of layers on it. So all I've just done here is I've just worked out my grid paper. I want the same amount on both sides masked off, but because I've got different mounts top and bottom, I'm not too worried about the sides being the same as my top. I would not make it the same as my bottom, but I would definitely make it the size of my top. So I've just masked all that off. I've got good coverage with this, and I'm going to grab the large blending brushes. Now I clean my blending brushes between each use, but they do stain a little bit, and but I would clean them between use, so I don't have one brush for each color family. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my Fresh Freesia, and I'm going to pop those. I've got a couple of sentiments there to one side. I'm just going to pop them to one side. Because I'm using my glass studio mat. Hi Deb, how you going? I'm just going to put some ink directly onto my mat. Let me just adjust this light a little bit. I'm sorry if there's a bit of glare there. And I'm going to pick up my color from my glass mat. Now, when I'm holding my blends, what I don't necessarily like just holding them by the handle. I think there's just too much flexibility there. You can see that's got quite a bit of flex. I like to have control of my brush and how much pressure I'm putting onto my paper, because the more pressure I put on, the more ink will be transferred from my brush to my cardstock. So I'd like to have my thumb and my next finger, actually my pointing finger, holding either side of that brush, which just gives me that nice control. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the top and work down probably around about half to 2/3 roughly. So I'm just going to pick up some of this ink off my glass mat here, and I'm going to start off, and I'm going to start from this corner and work down. Now, by putting the ink on my glass mat, I'm actually not using as much as if I just took my brush straight to my ink pad. Because with these brushes, because you can't really see how much ink is actually on your brush, you tend to have a lot more on there than what you think. Now, I probably will need to add a bit more ink to my glass mat, because I do want this to be reasonably dark, especially up the top here. And you can make this as light or as dark as you want. Now I'm going to be stamping an image from this on top of this, and I will show you what stamp I'm going to use and what image in a moment. Now I'm going to put a little bit more color into that, because I do want a bit more depth than what I've got there. So as you can see in this corner up here, I have added quite a bit of color now onto my glass mat, and I'm just going to keep adding until I get the depth that I want to get. But again, just always starting off my paper and then working on, and that way I don't get any splodges. If I just took my brush directly to where I was putting the color on, I could end up with a darker area. Okay, I'm getting closer to what I want, but I still want a bit more depth of color, and that's what I've just done there. I've actually forgot to go off, and I've come on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can work that in. So adding some more ink, starting off and seeing if I can blend that in. I might even add a little bit more of another color just to hide that a little bit. We'll see how we go. Starting off and coming back on. But that's what you don't really want to do. Okay, so now I might just bring in a little bit. I don't want too much berry burst. I just want a little bit. Now this is a darker color, so I'm going to add this straight onto there. Only wanting to add a little bit because I don't want too much. I don't want to make this too strong. And I think I've got all the fresh freesia I'm going to want. So I'm just going to add a little bit. I'm going to use the same brush because I'm not going to be putting this back into my fresh freesia. And I'm going to just come in and blend this corner in that little bit more. Okay, let's bring a bit more in there. Just see if I can maybe blend in that area that I think I have put too much of the other, or that big splodge. So I'm now starting to hide that splodge a little bit. I'm not taking it all the way down to where my fresh freesia is finished. Okay, I think I'm going to start adding in the Gloss Lagoon. I'm just going to add that down the bottom here without getting too close to my other colour, to the berry burst, because I don't want to get it mixed in. And I've got to watch my arm that I don't put my arm into it now, but that's okay. And I'm going to start from this corner here and bring it up into the fresh freesia. Whoops, we don't want that coming up, so we've got to make sure that that stays down. I'm going to hold that down with my finger for a little bit. And I just want to bring those two colours up. Whoops, not having much luck with this today, am I? And just blend those colours in together. So I'm just going to come back in now with my berry burst and just blend that in there a little bit. And just add a little bit more. This coming up. And just keep blending it until I've got the colours blended how I want them to look. I'm just going to add a little bit more of this and just come down the sides and into there. Okay, I think that might be getting pretty close to what I want. Maybe just a little bit more along this bottom edge. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm just going to wipe all of this up. Now, I really should have some paper towel, but I'm just going to use my chamois and just give that a really good wipe down. So I hope you've all had a great week. Hope you've been keeping busy and not too hot. It was stinking hot here the last few days. Okay, that now needs to go and get a good wash. And let's peel this off and see what we've got left. So it's just giving us a really nice finish on that. Just take those away. So at this point here, if you wanted to, you could add some droplets of water and let that sit for a little bit, dry it off. But I'm going to leave it like it is. It's been hot and humid in Brisbane. It's been so hot and humid here. We've had the fan on for the last few nights, which doesn't probably sound unusual, but this summer it's been quite unusual. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I've taken the image here. It's a large image, and this is from the, I look in the right spot, the Enduring Beauty. So this is the one that's in your mini catalogue, and you can get it with the masks. So you can mask this. Let me show you what I mean. It's got all the masks. I've got everything all in the one. Here you got the dies and everything. So this bundle here comes with masks, the dies, and then the stamp set. So you can buy the stamp set alone, but if you buy it as a bundle and get your 10% discount, then you get your masks and your dies as well. So this is it coloured with the masks. So that's what you can do if you use your masks. And of course then your dies can cut it out. But what we're doing is just doing using the same image, but just using it in a different way, just to show, you can use it in different ways. Today's been nice weather-wise, and you're in Penrith. Yeah, Penrith, you wouldn't be too different to what I'm here, because I'm in the Southern Highlands. So, I mean, we're only a couple of hours, hour and a half or something from Penrith, I think, if we go the back way. But it's just been so stinky and humid. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up with my Memento. This is a fairly easy and quick card. I'm going to give this a really good ink. But what I am going to do is I'm going to grab my foam mat and pop that underneath, because this is a photopolymer stamp and I do want to get good coverage. Now I haven't worked out. Now I think what I want is most of my leaves being down here in this corner, and I'm going to stamp this and it's going to go off the image. So I've just got to line it up so it's fairly centralized there, and just put it straight down and just press that down. Now this is the largest block that we've got, which is not the easiest block to hold on to, but I just wanted to make sure that that stamp was well and truly on a good size block. And we're going to have it going over, I don't know whether you can see, but it's going over the top of my coloured area that we've coloured. It is a beautiful bundle. I love this bundle. I've used the sentiments quite a few times. Anyway, let's peel this off. And there we go. So there's our stamped image on that. Now, there are a few areas there. I probably could have inked it up a little bit more. Probably I haven't cleaned my stamp as well as what I should. When you get your stamps, there's still a little bit of a residue on them from the manufacturing, and the more you clean it, or even if you get a rubber and go over the top of it, or wash them a few times, that residue will lift. And I've just been finding that some of them, it's not coming off as quick. Even if you get the Stampin' Scrub out, which is the bigger, rather than using the chamois, and give it a good clean with the Stampin' Scrub and the can't get to it at the moment because it's behind my tablet. But with the Stampin' Mist, and give your stamp a really good clean, which I think is what I'm going to be doing tomorrow with it, just to make sure, because it's just not 100% clear, but I'm not going to worry about it because relining everything up is going to be almost near impossible. But I just thought that was just a really good, quick and easy way to make a card front. And then all we need to do now with this particular card is I'm thinking of either matting it. I've cut these to size, and I only cut my mats only 3 millimeters bigger. So my mat is cut at 10 by 14.4. You could either do it in that color, which I think is the one I'm going to go with, or you could choose the Berry Burst or Fresh Freesia, but I think I'm going to go with the Lost Lagoon. I think that looks quite pretty underneath. So I'm going to adhere those two together. Now, normally I would do another live on Friday, but as I've said the last couple of weeks, this Friday I will not be around. So I will then see you all the following Tuesday. Unless I do an unboxing, because I do have some products, new products, which are coming in March, sitting out in my hallway to be unpacked. Okay, so that's that mounted onto there. Now what I've done here is I've grabbed another piece of basic white. I've cut it the same size as this piece, and this one's going to go on the inside of my card. But I think what I might do is we might ink this up again. Again in black memento. I'm only just going to do the top section. I don't need to ink the whole one up. And I'm going to put just stamp just that small section there of the bottom of my card, just to give it a bit of interest on the inside. And I've definitely inked that up a lot better than I did the first one. That is much clearer, but I am not going to complain today. And I'm also going to adhere this to a mat as well. Don't normally mat my card inserts, but today I decided I was going to. Just wanted to give it a little bit of added extra. Must be getting close to the end of the glue in that bottle. Probably could have, if I wanted to, before I put all this down, add a little bit of colour. Add a good rub just to make sure that all of that glue is not lumped up in one spot. I might leave it as black and white. I could have gone on there with my blending brushes and just added that little bit more color in there. Hello, Rose. How are you? Thanks for joining us. So there's my card front and my card insert. So my card base is some basic white. So let's just pop that, and I've cut this at half a sheet. So that's 10 1/2 by excuse me. I've had laryngitis on the weekend, so I'm still trying to get over that. That's why I'm a little bit hoarse. And I've still got a little bit of a cough with it. So I've cut that at 10.5 by 29.9 and scored it at 14.9. And as I said, it's just a half sheet. So if you're in America or where they use letter size, then it's, again, you're just doing a half sheet. And I've cut it down. My mats are cut down about a quarter of an inch smaller, and then my card fronts are cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than the mat. So I sort of work it that in centimeters, it's 1/2 centimeter and then 3 millimeters. The difference between my my mats and my card fronts. Just got that one there. It's just a little bit out. I'm going to pop that onto there, and I'm just going to glue that straight down, because if I do a sentiment, my sentiment I'm going to sit up on some dimensionals. This glue is not wanting to come. Okay. So let's just move that into the position where I want it. So I just wanted this card tonight just to be quite a simple little card, but hopefully an effective card. So there's our card front. And let's pop our, I have got another container of glue. I'm just trying to get every little bit I can out of this one. So I'm going to pop this one here on the inside. And then we can decide what we're going to do in regards to our sentiment. Okay. So there's our card and the inside. So let's have a little bit of a think what we can do now. Normally what I would like to do is, and I haven't pulled anything out as yet, but let's have a little look. We used Berry Burst. Normally I like to do my sentiment on white or on black, but I'm just thinking I might use the Berry Burst. So I've chosen a sentiment, but I've taken it from Everyday Details. This is my other favourite stamp set at the moment from the mini catalogue. And I love this sentiment, you make every day a little brighter. So I just want to use that. Now I'm going to grab, I'm just going to move my tablet here out of the road for a sec and grab my embossing powder, which is just behind. So excuse my arm. And I'm going to grab the white embossing powder. And we're going to grab, this is a bit of an afterthought, but that's okay. There's my heat gun. So let's just move that out of the road for a sec. And if we lose my tablet, which we shouldn't do because it's got plenty of power, but if we do, it's because we're talking too much and the internet doesn't like me. So let's have a look. I've got my embossing buddy here. There's our sentiment because I've already grabbed it. And we'll just pop on. I know I've got a long piece of cardstock here, but that's because I haven't worked out what size we're going to cut it. And we need some Versamark. I'm just going to stamp that right in the middle. In our Versamark. Now, our Versamark, of course, acts like a bit of a glue to hold embossing powder down. And what I do need is a scrap of paper, and I'll use this one for the moment. Just flick off any excess. I've got to find out if there's a way of getting rid of all the goobies that have got into my embossing powder. There's a bit of black or something in there. Don't know where that's come from. Or whether I just buy new embossing powder. Okay. There's that. Quite happy with that. So let's get the magic going. So excuse me as I switch on my heat gun and let's heat this up. That's worked out well. I'm just going to let that cool for a little bit. Now that has warped a little bit. If you're worrying about it warping, look at my fingers. I've got ink all over them. I must still have a lot of ink on the glass mat because it's all now on my fingers. They're green. I don't know whether you can. There we go. Twist my arm to get some good old soap and water onto them. Let's just pop that away so that can cool down. Replug that in so we don't lose it. Oh, that was a bit noisy. And let's work out where we're going to position this on my card. Okay. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a curl just to both directions, just to straighten it out a little bit. And I think it's going to go probably right across the center. I'm going to go from side to card side. So I'm going to start looking at trimming this down. So my card is 10.5 centimeters in width. So the middle of this is around about day. So if I'm looking at my trimmer here, I want the word day to be around about that 5.5 centimeter mark. Now I'm just guesstimating this. I haven't actually measured it, so it could be a little bit out. But I'm going to go from there to 10.5. And now I want to cut this down because I don't want it this wide. I want it a little bit narrower, or quite a bit narrower actually. So I'm just lining this up. Luckily I stamped this reasonably straight, I think. Now I'm going to use Post-it note here as like a tab, just to give me a bit more handle with that. And I just want to cut that roughly the same distance from the other end. Yep, that's about right. Wish Stampin' Up would bring that little guillotine back out. It's a fantastic little tool. But I do know that there are other companies out there that do have them, and they're great. If you've got, you can get yourself hold of one of them. And we're going to pop that there. Now, should we put a little bit of I'm sure I've got here. No, this is not a scrap, but it will do because I'll make it into a scrap. So I'm just going to cut that, but I just want it to go a little bit. Just give that a little bit of a border. I think that would look quite nice. So I'm going to adhere those two together. Now, it's always easier to adhere the smaller piece to the larger piece. I have seen other people do it the other way around, and it's like, oh, got to be careful you get it in the right spot. I might have my berry burst piece just cut a little bit wider on one side, but that's okay. We just won't tell anybody. Get that a bit of a rub. Grab some dimensionals. Only need 3 for something like this, so you've got one in the middle and one on each end. And what else have I got here? I've got a bit of baker's twine. Let's add a bit of that. Just want a little bow. Don't need anything too big. Oops. There's my scissors. Just want to add a little bit of a bow there. So let's just pop. See if I can get a little bit of glue out of here. Yep, just a little bit of glue on there. Because you could have rolled up a glue dot as well. And the only other thing I might pop onto this is maybe, let's have a look, we'll see what we've got. In our little bit of bling. I think I'm going to add a couple of these actually. Don't want to add anything too big. And I'm going to add the black, I think, just to give it a little bit more of a pop, and just a couple of these little ones. One there, one there. That just needs to dry a bit more. Should we do another one, do you think? I've only got the 3 on there. No, I think I just want to stick with the 3. I'm not into huge amounts of bling personally, so I think that for me is enough. So there's my quick card for tonight, just showing you another way that you can use that particular stamp set. So the stamp set we've used is Enduring Beauty, and we've used the Everyday Details for the sentiment. So there's just another quick idea if you need to make up a quick card. So you're not sort of doing any intricate colouring or anything like that, but you're just putting a bit of colour to the flowers. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope that gives you some ideas. I will post this up in the next few days on my blog, see how I go. I've got quite a bit of sewing here to do with my alterations business, so I'm fairly busy at the moment, which is good because that pays for me to do Stampin' Up. But I hope you've enjoyed tonight. Thank you very much for joining. Please remember, I'm not going to be available to do my live on Friday. I'm going to be tied up for most of the day, and but I will be back at least next Tuesday. So take care. Have any questions or anything about any of the products I've used tonight, please add them onto this live, and I will get to them when they come up, and hopefully can give you some answers. So take care. Thank you very much for joining me. One thing. Who would like this card? Because I want to send this to somebody. So the first person who actually says me and gives me a thumbs up will get this card. So please jump on. As I said, got to say me and a thumbs up, and I will send this card out to you. So take care. I'll give you half an hour to do that, and then the first person who's done it, I will send the card, and we'll catch up with you all next week. Thank you very much. Bye.